house was built around about 1890. It was built as a private home, and then in the 60s the university converted it into a student accommodation, but it's kind of retained a lot of the original character is still there. We wanted to really try and figure out ways to reduce the amount of emissions that we were generating.
Chris brought us this project almost about a year ago now, so it's been quite a long journey. And the house is in the south side of Edinburgh. It's in a conservation zone, and the house is grade 2B listed.
And what that means is that it has been noted for its historic interest and significance. Listed buildings and buildings in conservation areas have a greater degree of statutory protection than other buildings. What that means in practice is that there are some restrictions on what you can do, and that you have to get these permissions from the local authority, from the council, before you can start the work. But one of the things to remember is that the planning authorities, the people who give these permissions, are keen to see these buildings upgraded and to address the climate crisis.
The whole house plan involved a kind of deep dive into lots of the different bits of the house.
The report is based on, first instance, a deep dive survey. So this is somewhat equivalent to like a home report when you buy the house. So we're looking at how the house uses energy, how the homeowners live in the house, any problems they've identified. And then from there we can apply our computer modeling, which looks at how the home performs, and give them answers to, if I do different measures, let's say insulation, what does that cost me and how is that going to change performance?
It's a really useful process to get the plan done, especially if your house is old or complicated. It gave us a really, really good overview and just helped us make a good plan for what we should do next. And I think if we'd just been trying to figure that out on our own, we possibly wouldn't have done the right things, or we would have chosen the wrong. We might have chosen the wrong approaches. The first upgrades we're planning are to the insulation in the kind of loft and roof spaces, and replacing the cupola at the top with a double glazed unit, and then the other windows. We have mainly single glazed windows.
The windows that we see here today are the original windows in the building, and they're of particularly high quality. So one of the things that we have done in our recommendations to Chris and Catherine is that to upgrade the thermal performance of these windows and reduce the heat loss from them, we've opted for a secondary glazing option. And that means that we keep the existing fabric of the building, but we improve the thermal performance of it.
We're also looking at some solar panels and battery storage, and then probably once all that's done and we've seen how the house kind of works with the insulation improvements, we'll look at a heat pump.
Putting solar panels on the roof that faces the front of the building is not something we would recommend, because we would expect that to be rejected by the planners, because it has an excessive effect on the appearance of the building and of the conservation area more widely. On the other hand, putting them on the flat roof to the back of the building, where they are completely invisible from the street, seems like a very sensible approach, and that's one that we would expect the planners to be receptive to and to give permission for.
At EcoCosi, one of the most important things that we do with clients is we work on the funding process. The first thing we usually do is get to clients to speak to Home Energy Scotland. So that's the approving body for a lot of the insulation schemes, for the heat pump grant support, and get them to go through that process. So that's a big part of it, and to give them enough information to go through that process quickly. EcoCosi provides a service where we have a network of installers that we have vetted. We work with them closely. They sign a code of conduct with us. We provide contract language to our clients. And then finally, we offer a service where we actually go to the surveys and we help maybe interpret, because not everybody is a building expert, and that's why we're here. That's why we have a job. And as a retrofit coordinator, my job is to try to understand as deeply as I can what the goals and requirements of the client are, and then convey those to the installer, and really get a plan that's in keeping, that is informed by what the client wants, but then also is informed by our knowledge of how buildings are constructed and what is the appropriate way to go forward.
If someone is thinking about improving their historic property and they've no idea where to start, then what they should do is contact a service like EcoCosi or an architect who specialises in retrofit and conservation, and they'll be able to provide the professional advice and the guidance as to what is the best approach to that property.
It's been really great working with the team. They're very, very responsive, very knowledgeable. We've spoken to people kind of in the area about EcoCosi. There's a lot of similar kind of houses around here, and it would be really, I think it'd be really useful for people to be able to get this kind of analysis of the house and then decide what they want to do in future. It's a really great kind of scheme, I think.